Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we talk about all things fandom on this channel and we talk about it in a positive way. If that's something that appeals to you, you've come to the right place. We're so happy to have you here today. And it also happens to be Sci-Fi Sunday on this channel where we talk about all things sci-fi, fantasy, and comic book related. And today we have to talk about the fact that Mortal Kombat 2 has been pushed back an entire year. So why did this movie get pushed back an entire year? We're going to break down what was said, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on why exactly this happened and why it isn't a bad thing. So let's jump right into it. All right, so if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, you probably enjoyed the first movie. Mortal Kombat was released in 2021, so that film didn't get a major theatrical release. It just kind of went straight to streaming. And that is sort of the problem. When you have a film that didn't even get a theatrical release, and now we're looking at the potential of that film having a sequel, I think that's amazing. I think that's very good. And I think it tells you a lot about the movie and its fans that we are getting the sequel to this movie. Now, this sequel looks pretty good. The trailer's been amazing. Everybody's excited for it. Everybody wants to see this movie, and they're wondering why this movie got delayed by an entire year. So this is kind of the reason why and why it's not a bad thing. Essentially, Warner Brothers and New Line's Mortal Kombat will now come out on May 15th of 2026 instead of October 24th of this year. And what's the reason why? People are speculating that there could be things like problems with the movie. Reshoots are needed. Well, that's kind of irrelevant because reshoots actually happen almost all the way up until the movie's release. That's not a big deal. So if the movie was coming out still in October of this year, then they probably are pretty close to having it all finished and know exactly what they're doing. I don't think this is that at all because that's not what they say. And they actually did give us a reason as to why they think that this movie needed to be delayed. So here's the reason. It says that in October, 20th Century Studios is releasing the Bruce Springsteen biofilm Springsteen Deliver Me From Nowhere starring Jeremy Allen White. Now this is important here for a reason. A lot of people who got into Mortal Kombat in their childhood would have listened to Bruce Springsteen, and those people now have this nostalgic issue. Do they go and see this Bruce Springsteen bio movie, or do they go and see Mortal Kombat? Now, for some, it's not a big thing, but for others, they're kind of going to be torn. At least that's what the studio is anticipating. The reason is that you can't predict those sort of things. Maybe it's that time where people are going to be more nostalgic for Bruce Springsteen than to go and see Mortal Kombat. You can't predict how your box office is going to go. And Mortal Kombat came out for the first time in August of 1992. Now that's 32 years ago. And if you go back just a little bit farther, that's about the time in the 80s when Bruce Springsteen would have been popular. So you don't have much of a time gap between the time that Bruce Springsteen would have been popular and the time that people would have actually have gone and played the game in 1992. So I think that's part of the reason. But how popular was this game? This game has over 24 games as of 2023, including the main fighting games, spin-offs, and mobile games. These games include the main original fighting games and the reboot from 2011, and the most recent Mortal Kombat 1, as well as re-releases and mobile titles. The other reason is the next Colleen Hoover movie, and that is Paramount's Regretting You, which will be out the week before Halloween, and that's not a really great time for the box office. So now they have an issue. Now they have a time frame where they don't want to compete with the Bruce Springsteen biofilm, and they don't want to compete with a romantic comedy that's going to be the alternative for some people that don't want to go and see a horror movie in October. Now, personally, I don't get the rationale behind that because I'll always pick the horror movie over some romantic comedy, more than likely. But there are those times, there are those moods, and you can't really judge whether or not people are going to want to see one or the other, especially when Halloween comes around and there's a couple scary movies. Some people are not going to want to go see those, and they're not going to want to see a biopic, and sometimes the video game industry isn't for them either, so they're not going to want to see that film. So you have this alternative with two very separate films coming out at the same time. Because it's not like the old days where people can afford to go to a movie every week or every day. They have to sort of decide. They have to sort of decide, what do they want to do? What movie do they want to see better? Do they want to go and see this one, or do they want to go and see that one? And something like Mortal Kombat that didn't get the release it actually wanted from the first film due to things that were out of its control, this one's gotta be a great movie. It's gotta have that time period that they feel it's going to strive in. So they're placing that film up against something that's really nostalgic, or something that's sort of this romantic alternative to the 'tis the season type of movies that normally come out in Halloween. Then now they have an issue, because now they're competing with two things they don't want to compete with. So that's kind of where they're at with this. And I think that it's a smart move to switch the movie's release date for those reasons. Now, I know I've heard a lot of people talking about they don't see where anybody would want to go and see a Bruce Springsteen movie rather than this one, or they don't know of anybody who would want to go and see this movie rather than this one. Well, as someone who is a fan of multiple fandoms, I can tell you that nostalgic vibes go a long way. That people will always sort of look at what it is they loved and what it is they liked, and they will look at that and decide which one they want to see more. And that, of course, depends on the time. It depends on their mood. So it actually is unpredictable. And if you have something as unpredictable as real life people, you can't take that risk if you need this movie to reach its audience that you feel are going to want to see the movie. So that's why they're doing it. At least that's my opinion as to why they're doing it. And I actually think that it's a smart move, like I said. I think that putting it in May of 2026 is going to ultimately help the film. I think we're going to see that that is going to be the smarter move for this film. Now, it's horrible because the people who wanted this film out, who were definitely going to see it, now have to wait an entire year, essentially. Not really a year, but, you know, into next year. So they're kind of not happy about that. And I get that. But this is where I'm going to leave it off to you guys. I want to know what you guys are thinking about this. Are you excited about this situation? Do you think that it's a good move on their part to put this film a little bit farther out there? Or would you have rather seen this film be put out on the date that they promised originally? Whatever you guys are thinking, there's no wrong answer here. We're all just a bunch of fans sitting down and having a conversation. Just always remember to keep it polite with each other. There's no reason for us to fight. We all love the same things. But I want to hear from each and every one of you. So make sure you're leaving me that comment in the comment box below. And make sure that you are sharing this video with all of your friends so that they can be a part of this conversation as well. Now, you're going to want to hit that like button too, because it tells the algorithm that you actually enjoy the positive content that we're bringing you. And if you want more positive content in your feed, you have to let the algorithm know that. So go ahead and hit that like button. While you're there, if you like my channel, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you never miss a single video we do. Because friends, let's face it, at the end of the day, I know it and you know it. Fandom is family.